When I was 11 years old, my grandma passed away while visiting us here in Australia. Her death had a large emotional toll on my family, which was difficult to overcome. However, as time passed, my mother told me many stories about her life and what she had experienced. As such, instead of focusing on her death, I started to appreciate the life she had lived. 6 years later, I began Year 12 English, where I deepened my understanding of how texts explore human interactions and emotions through the HSC Common Module of Text and Human Experiences, thereby learning that a wide range of human feelings and emotions can be analyzed conceptually due to the substantial depth of this module. As such, I will guide you through various concepts explored within 4 texts, each comprising of different artistic forms linking key notions with one another. The creative works of the 20th century Australian poet Kenneth Slessor and the 2017 film Loving Vincent reveal their sensitivity to the continual presence of death. However, they both choose to overcome this presence by evoking the inconsistencies, diverse perspectives, and stereotypes that encompass life. In many ways, time is a paradox. On one hand, it is like looking at an hourglass. You are conscious of how the sands of time are finite and are rapidly running out. On the other hand, time can be similar to gazing across a vast ocean. It is seemingly endless as it stretches beyond the horizon. Though apparently limiting, time has the capacity to encapsulate individuals in the beauties offered by life, enabling them to reflect on their purpose. In this sense, even a short life can be very meaningful. So how does this relate with Kenneth Slessor's poems? Well, Slessor's anecdotal three-sonnet poem "Out of Time" utilizes abstract metaphors to symbolize the vulnerability of humans to time, either to quench and ripen, kiss, or kill. This metaphor speaks to the epitome of uncertainty that comes as a consequence of the perpetuity of time. The motif of time, a Bowie knife, is objectified as a potentially violent instrument. Contrasted with the visual imagery of sweet meniscus, it emphasizes the achievable nature of the beauty of life, inspiring us to climb and accomplish our dreams. In addition, Slessor motivates the readers to live in the moment. Time made the poet feel fleshless and ageless, changeless and made free. The assonance, emphasized by the repetition of the suffix "less", suggests that time is able to liberate humans from the material pleasures that bind them to earth, encouraging us to let go of fears such as those related to death and mortality, and to focus on the present. Knowing the meaning behind this poem, how can we translate this into our modern-day society? Well, the concepts in "Out of Time" parallel with the Hindu teachings of Dharma, which focus on mindfulness and overcoming worldly desires. Hence, Slessor encourages readers to reflect on the deeper meaning of their lives through the paradox of time. The film Loving Vincent focuses on the paradoxes between life and death through textual qualities emphasizing the relative insignificance of death in contrast to life. Switching from the black-and-white hues to the vibrant colors highlights the transition from the past with its associated nostalgia and melancholy to the present with its fragile human beauty and vibrancy. Furthermore, the film focuses on the cause of Vincent van Gogh's death. However, as it progresses, Van Gogh is portrayed as a modernist artist in a postmodern film, appropriating his paintings into a cinematic piece with reverence for his artistic genius. Incorporating famous works such as Search of Oovers, which uses tactile, heavy impasto texture and gestural brushwork, evoking an emotional response from the audience and is impressionistic in nature, coupled with dark shades showing shadows coming towards the figure, symbolizing the encroaching darkness, suggesting that we must confront the ultimate paradox, that life means to confront our shadow side, our demons. The iconic piece illustrates the figure moving towards the darkness, thereby foreshadowing Vincent's impending doom. This is contrasted with the bedroom in ours, which represents hope, highlighted by the intensity of the hues and the vectors going towards the bedhead, symbolizing a place of sanctuary, where we can seek refuge from the demons that burdened us. Furthermore, the repetition of the painting throughout the film emphasizes the power of hope over despair. As such, the film inspires viewers to focus on the vicissitudes of their present existence, as they want to know so much about his death, but what do they know about his life? Hearing varying perspectives can cause opinions to change and invite reflection on important decisions in our lives. Slessor's William Street is used to represent the human experience of urban living during the chaos of the 1930s. First-person repetition of "You find this ugly, I find this lovely" reflects how he finds William Street beautiful in contrast to others. The personification of pulsing arrows and running fire is used to convey the crowds that swarm on this street, highlighting that there will always be people around us in times of struggle and hardship. Words such as raging and pastorage utilize pastoral imagery to challenge the reader by suggesting that the inhabitants of William Street are doing what they can to survive, despite death at their elbows and hunger at their heels. However, a more Enlightening perspective is introduced from William Street as smells rich and rasping smoke and fat and fish and puffs or paraffin that crimp the nose. Despite the negative experiences that olfactory imagery evokes, there are always some positive aspects representing the presence of hope in times of despair. So how can we translate this message into our communities? Well, the poem reinforces the notion that despite the horrible nature of others being present in various settings, people can find enlightenment through the voices around them. Thus, we should aim to look for joy even in our lowest moments, rather than focusing on the negative perspectives of others. In terms of perspective, Loving Vincent inspires us to challenge our original beliefs when other voices are heard. Originally the protagonist and the film's narrative guide Armand Rowland had negative opinions on Vincent van Gogh, which can be seen from his facial expressions and his dismissive attitude towards him. Armand's image of Vincent is one lying in bed in anguish, which is portrayed through the low-key lighting symbolizing darkness and the rough texture used to portray Vincent's mind space. His fetal position symbolizes his crippling and reversion to a childlike state. However, as Armand traveled, he was introduced to many who knew Vincent and was able to get a new perspective of his life. He learned that though Vincent was mentally challenged, he retained a certain charisma that is evident in his jarring expressions, formal attire, and the vibrant colors that encompass him. Armand's image of Vincent changes from one filled with darkness to one consisting of vivid colors and clear skies, representing hope and future prosperity through the voices of others. The stereotypes that arose in the past are meant to be challenged by those in the future. Gulliver reflects the human experience of being trapped physically and mentally inside one's body. The morbid and violent tone in "I'll kick your walls to bits, I'll die scratching a tunnel" reflects the suffering of the persona. Furthermore, the pain and physical entrapment of the persona is symbolized through the visceral imagery of tunnel and dungeon. His common shared experiences of love, hunger, drunkenness, neuralgia, and death emphasize the burden he carries and the stigma that he cannot rely on others. However, the turnkey mentioned the third stanza symbolizes a second chance. As such, if he was given this chance, he could be freed from his mental anguish. Thus, we have the freedom to make our own choices in life, even during times of duress. However, we often need the guidance of others to alleviate our burdens and to help us seek healing. In Loving Vincent, Van Gogh's mental illness is not made clear until it is too late. Vincent's disorder is constantly discussed throughout the film, and is the cause of his death and many of his failed relationships. The gestural brushstroke and the ubiquitous heavy texture used in wheat filled with crows convey a sense of loneliness because the sky bristles and the dead-end path signify the end of life, coupled with the flying crows symbolizing the haunting presence of death in Vincent's final days. Although many attempted to comfort Vincent, they were not able to deduce his true state of mind until his death. Thus the stereotypes around us keep us chained and restrict our freedom, which cannot be overcome without challenging the conventional image of society. Hence, we should always be conscious of the presence of death in our lives. However, the experiences and subsequent emotions that we face in our personal journeys can overcome this anxiety as we gain revelations that alleviate our pain and suffering. As such, why do the opinions of others influence our actions? And why do we succumb to the pressures of society which restrict our freedom to speak? These questions are the essence of Kenneth Slessor's poems and Loving Vincent, where the inconsistencies, diverse perspectives, and the challenging of stereotypes are used to portray the inordinate power of life over death. As such, I will leave you with one question. How can we make our own journeys more meaningful?
Created using Powtoon.